Record tide enters Venice as Italy hit with snow, rain.
Third record tide enters Venice as Italy hit with snow, rain. Third record tide enters Venice as Italy hit with snow, rain.
Venice was hit Sunday by a record third exceptional tide in the same week, while other parts of Italy struggled with a series of weather woes, from rain-swollen rivers to high winds to an out-of-season avalanche.
Venice has hit Sunday by a record third exceptional tide in the same week, while other parts of Italy struggled with a series of weather woes, from rain-swollen rivers to high winds to an out-of-season avalanche. Venice was hit Sunday by a record third exceptional tide in the same week, while other parts of Italy struggled with a series of weather woes, from rain-swollen rivers to high winds to an out-of-season avalanche.
Stores and museums in Venice were mostly closed in the hardest-hit area around St. Mark's Square, but tourists donned high rubber boots or even hip waders to witness and photograph the spectacle.
Stores and museums in Venice were mostly closed in the hardest hit area around St. Mark's Square, but tourists donned high rubber boots or even hip waders to witness and photograph the spectacle. Stores and museums in Venice were mostly closed in the hardest hit area around St. Mark's Square, but tourists donned high rubber boots or even hip waders to witness and photograph the spectacle. Stores and museums in Venice were mostly closed in the highest hit area around St. Mark's Square, but tourists donned high rubber boots or even hip waders to witness and photograph the spectacle.
Most were disappointed when officials closed the historic square as winds rippled across the rising waters. The doors of the famed St. Mark's Basilica were securely shut to the public. Authorities took precautions, stacking sandbags in canal-side windows to prevent salt-laden water from entering the crypt again.
Most were disappointed when officials closed the historic square as winds rippled across the rising water. The doors of the famed St. Mark's Basilica were securely shut to the public. Authorities took precautions, stacking sandbags in canal-side windows to prevent salt-laden water from entering the crypt again. Most were disappointed when officials closed the historic square as winds rippled across rising water. The doors of famed St. Mark's Basilica were securely shut to the public. Authorities took precautions, stacking sandbags in canal-side winds to prevent salt-laden water from entering the crypt again.
Venice's tide office set the peak tide of 1.5 meters, nearly 5 feet, hit just after 1 p.m. But a weather front off the coast blocked southerly winds from the Adriatic Sea from pushing the tide to the predicted level of 1.6 meters, 5 feet 2 inches. By early evening, the level was less than a meter, 3 feet.
Venice Tide Office said a peak tide of 1.5 meters, nearly 5 feet, hit just after 1 p.m., but a weather front off the coast blocked southerly winds from the Adriatic Sea from pushing the tide to the predicted level of 1.6 meters, 5 feet 2 inches. By early evening, the level was less than a meter. Venice tide office said a peak tide of 1.5 meter, nearly 5 feet, hit just after 1 p.m., but a weather front off the coast blocked southerly winds from the Adriatic Sea from pushing the tide to the predicted level of 1.6 meter, 5 feet, 2 inches. By early evening, the level was less than a meter, 3 feet.
Still, it marked the third time since Tuesday night's 1.87 meter flood, the worst in 53 years, that water levels in Venice had topped 1.5 meters. Since records began in 1872, that level had never been reached, even twice in 1 year, let alone 3 times in 1 week.
Still, it marked the third time since Tuesday night's 1.87 meter flood, the worst in 53 years, that water levels in Venice had topped 1.5 meters. Since record began in 1872, that level had never been reached even twice in 1 year, let alone 3 times in 1 week. Still, it marked the third time since Tuesday night's 1.87 meter flood, the worst in 53 years, that water levels in Venice had topped 1.5 meter. Since record began in 1872, that level had never been reached even twice in 1 year, let alone 3 times in 1 week.
Venice's mayor has put the flooding damage at hundreds of millions of euros, and Italian officials have declared a state of emergency for the area. They say Venice is both sinking into the mud and facing rising sea levels due to climate change.
Venice mayor has put the flooding damage at hundreds of millions of euros, and Italy officials have declared a state of emergency for the area. They say Venice is both sinking into the mud and facing rising sea levels due to climate change. Venice mayor has put the flood damage at hundreds of millions of euros, and Italian officials have declared a state of emergency for the area. They say Venice is both sinking into the mud and facing rising sea levels due to climate change.
Third record tide enters
Venice as Italy hit with snow rain.
Venice was hit Sunday by a record third exceptional tide
in the same week, while other parts of Italy struggle with a series of weather woes, from rain-swollen rivers to high winds to an out-of-season avalanche. Stores and museums in Venice were mostly closed in the hardest hit area around St. Mark's Square, but tourists donned high rubber boots or even hip waders to witness and photograph the spectacle. Most were disappointed when officials closed the History Square as winds ripple across the rising waters. The doors of the famed St. Mark's Basilica were securely shut to the public. Authorities took precautions, stacking sandbags in canal-side windows to prevent salt-laden water from entering the crypt again.
Venice's tide office said the peak tide of 1.5 meters, nearly 5 feet, hit just after 1 p.m., but a weather front off the coast blocked southerly winds from the Adriatic Sea from pushing the tide to the predicted level of 1.6 meters, 5 feet, 2 inches. By early evening, the level was less than a meter, 3 feet. Still, it marked the third time since Tuesday night's 1.87 meter flood, the worst in 53 years, that water levels in Venice had topped 1.5 meters. Since records began in 1872, that level had never been reached, even twice in 1 year, let alone 3 times in 1 week. Venice's mayor has put the flooding damage at hundreds of millions of euros, and Italian officials have declared a state of emergency for the area. They say Venice is both sinking into the mud and facing rising sea levels due to climate change. £2,000 for a Christmas wreath? Don't laugh. These door decorations are the status symbols of the season. I've observed the ramp. £2,000, £2,000 for a Christmas wreath. Don't laugh. Those door decorations are the status symbols of the season. £2,000 for a Christmas wreath. Don't laugh. These door decorations are the status symbols of the season. Up of the wreath wars in recent years. Friends have even talked of attending wreath-making classes, as if spraying a pine cone gold is an entirely natural way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I've observed a wrapping up of the wreath wars in recent years. Friends have even talked of attending wreath-making classes, as if spraying a pine cone gold is an entirely natural way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I've observed the wrapping up of the wreath war in recent years. Friends have even talked of attending wreath-making classes, as if spraying a pine cone gold is an entirely natural way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Don't have a wreath? Gosh, how embarrassing. You'll be saying toilet next. Don't have a wreath? Gosh, how embarrassing. You will be saying toilet next. Don't have a wreath? Gosh, how embarrassing. You will be saying toilet next. The rise of the competitive wreath first became apparent while I worked at Tatler. In late November, Joe Malone would deliver Christmas wreaths to its favorite magazine editors and writers, a canny marketing ploy, because these wreaths would be pinned to multiple faro and ball colored front doors and Instagrammed for everyone else to see. The rise of the competitive wreath first became apparent while I worked at Taylor. In late November, John Malone would deliver Christmas wreath to its favorite magazine editor and writers. A canny marketing ploy, because this wreath would be pinned to multiple ball-colored front doors and Instagrammed for everyone else to see. The rise of the competitive wreath first became apparent while I worked at Taylor. In late November, John Malone would deliver Christmas wreath to its favorite magazine editors and writers. A canny marketing ploy, because these wreaths would be pinned to multiple flower and ball-colored front doors and Instagrammed for everyone else to see. If you were sent a Joe Malone wreath, but do not post a picture of it on social media, do you ever really have a Joe Malone wreath in the first place? If you are sent a Joe Malone wreath but do not post a picture of it on social media, do you ever really have a Joe Malone wreath in the first place? If you are sent a Joe Malone wreath but do not post a picture of it on social media, do you ever really have a Joe Malone wreath
in the first place?
The Mayfair flower pusher Pulbrook & Goad is offering a deluxe ruby version for £2,450. If you're feeling strapped, they also have one inexplicably decorated with small lions and elephants. This is their...
The Mayfair flower pusher Pulbrook & Goad is offering a deluxe ruby version for £2,450. If you are feeling strapped. They also have one inexplicably decorated with small lions and elephants. The Mayfair Flower Push Pulbrook Guide is offering a deluxe ruby version for £2,450. If you are feeling strapped, you also have one inexplicable decorated with small lions and elephants.
The Safari version. It costs £495 and features the classic wildlife one would encounter on a tour of the Serengeti. For is it so inconceivable that there was a hippopotamus at the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ?
They say their Safari version. It costs £495 and features the classic wildlife one would encounter on a tour of the Serengeti. For is it so inconceivable that there was a hippopotamus at the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ? For is it so inconceivable that there was a hippopotamus at the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ? The Mayfair Flower Pusher Pulbrook Guard is offering a deluxe ruby version for £2,450. If you are feeling strapped, they also have one inexplicably decorated with small lions and elephants. This is their Safari version. It costs £495 and features the classic wildlife one would encounter on a tour of the Serengeti. For is it so inconceivable that there was a hippopotamus at the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ?
For the greedy among us, the good news is that Sainsbury's has hopped on the bandwagon and is flogging an edible wreath made from stuffing and decorated with pigs and blankets and cranberries.
For the greedy among us, the good news is that Sainsbury's has hopped on the bandwagon and is flogging an edible wreath made from stuffing and decorated with pigs in blanket and cranberries.
Why not hang this on your door and have a little nibble every evening when you get home, too tired to cook?
Why not hang this on your door and have a little nibble every evening you get home, too tired to cook? For the greedy among us, the good news is that Sainsbury's has hopped on the bandwagon and is flogging an edible wreath made from stuffing and decorated with pigs in blanket and cranberries. Why not hang this on your door and have a little nibble every evening you get home, too tired to cook?
£2,000 for a Christmas wreath? Don't laugh. These door decorations are the status symbols of the season. I have observed the ramping up of the wreath wars in recent years. Friends have even talked of attending wreath-making classes, as if spraying a pine cone gold is an entirely natural way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Don't have a wreath? Gosh, how embarrassing. You'll be saying toilet next. The rise of the competitive wreath first became apparent while I worked at Taylor. In late November, Joe Malone would deliver Christmas wreaths to its favorite magazine editors and writers, a canny marketing ploy, because these wreaths would be pinned to multiple Faro and ball-colored front doors and Instagram for everyone else to see. If you were sent a Joe Malone wreath, but do not post a picture of it on social media, do you ever really have a Joe Malone wreath in the first place? The Mayfair flower pusher Pullbrook and Gold is offering a deluxe ruby version for £2,450. If you're feeling strapped, they also have one inexplicably decorated with small lions and elephants. This is their safari version. It costs £495 and features the classic wildlife one would encounter on a tour of the Serengeti. For is it so inconceivable that there was a hippopotamus at the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ?
At the birth of our Lord
For the
Jesus
greedy among
Christ.
us, the good news is that Sainsbury's has hopped on the bandwagon and is flogging an edible wreath made from stuffing and decorated with pigs and blankets and cranberries. Why not hang this on your door and have a little nibble every evening when you get home, too tired to cook?
Too tired to cook.
Third record tide enters Venice as Italy hit with snow, rain. Venice was hit Sunday by a record third exceptional tide in the same week, while other parts of Italy struggled with a series of weather woes, from rain-swollen rivers to high winds to an out-of-season avalanche. Stores and museums
Avalanche.
Venice were mostly closed in the hardest-hit area around St. Mark's Square, but tourists donned high rubber boots or even hip waders to witness and photograph the spectacle. Most were disappointed when officials closed the historic square as winds rippled across the rising waters. The doors of the famed St. Mark's Basilica were securely shut to the public. Authorities took precautions, stacking sandbags in canal-side windows to prevent salt-laden water from entering the crypt again. Venice's tide office set the peak tide of 1.5 meters, nearly 5 feet, hit just after 1 p.m. But a weather front off the coast blocked southerly winds from the Adriatic Sea from pushing the tide to the predicted level of 1.6 meters, 5 feet 2 inches.
1.6 meters, 5 feet 2 inches.
By early evening, the level was less than a meter, 3 feet. Still, it marked the third time since Tuesday night's 1.87-meter flood, the worst in 53 years, that water levels in Venice had topped 1.5 meters. Since records began in 1872, that level had never been reached, even twice in 1 year, let alone 3 times in 1 week. Venice's mayor has put the flooding damage at hundreds of millions of euros, and Italian officials have declared a state of emergency for the area. They say Venice is both sinking into the mud and facing rising sea levels due to climate change. 2,000 pounds for a Christmas wreath? Don't laugh. These door decorations are the status symbols of the season. I have observed the ramping up of the wreath wars in recent years. Friends have even talked of attending wreath-making classes, as if spraying a pine cone gold is an entirely natural way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Don't have a wreath? Gosh, how embarrassing. You'll be saying toilet next. The
The
rise
rise
of the competitive wreath
first became apparent
while I worked
at
In
Tatler.
late November,
In late November,
John
John
Malone
Malone
would
would
deliver
deliver
Christmas
Christmas
wreaths to its favorite
wreath
magazine
to
editors and
its
writers.
favorite. John Malone would deliver Christmas wreath to its favorite magazine editor and
Canny
writers, a canny
marketing
marketing
because
ploy.
these wreaths would be pinned
Because
to
this
multiple
wreath would
faro
be
and ball
pinned to
colored
multiple
front doors
ball
and
colored front
Instagrammed for
doors and
everyone else to
Instagrammed
see.
for everyone else
If
to
you were
see.
sent a Joe
If you are
Malone
sent a
wreath,
Joe Malone
but do
wreath,
not
but
post a
do not
picture of
post
it
a
on social
picture
media,
of
do you
it
ever
on social
really
media, do
have
you
a Joe
ever
Malone
really have
wreath
a
in the
Joe
first
Malone
place?
wreath in the first place?
The Mayfair
The
flower pusher, Polbrook and Goad, is offering a deluxe ruby version for £2,450 if you're feeling strapped.
If you are
They
feeling
also
strapped.
have one
They also have one
inexplicably decorated with small lions and
inexplicably decorated with
elephants.
small lions and
This is
elephants.
their safari
the
version.
safari
It
version.
costs £495
£495
and features
the
the classic
features
wildlife one would
classic
encounter on a
wildlife
tour of
one
the
would encounter
Serengeti.
on a tour
For
of
is it so
Serengeti. For
inconceivable
is it
that there
so
was a
inconceivable
hippopotamus
that
at the
there
birth
was
of our
a
Lord Jesus Christ?
hippopotamus at the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ.
For the greedy
For
among
the
us,
greedy
the
among
good
us,
news
the
is
good
that
news is that
Sainsbury's has hopped on the bandwagon and is flogging an edible wreath made from stuffing and decorated with pigs and blankets and cranberries. Why not hang this on your door and have a little nibble every evening when you get home, too tired to cook?
Too tired to cook.